Hi and welcome to the Geek Legion of Doom. This is a TV review, and today I'll be having a look at Special Unit Season 1. So, the easiest way I can describe Special Unit, if you've not seen it, is Men in Black, but with sort of supernatural things rather than aliens. So, the first season is only 6 episodes, so I'll kind of give you a little bit, I'll talk about the series as a whole, and then I'm going to give you a little bit of a breakdown of each individual episode in a very short segments. So as I say, it's very much like a Men in Black style show. I think it was made in 2001, and basically it centres on two agents. They're from the police. I guess you can call them police, but of a special unit of the police. A female agent played by Alexandra Lee, and her character's name is Kate Benson, and she's part of kind of the normal sort of police, but she's sort of, has seen something sort of when she was younger, and it's kind of one of these almost like Fox Mulder type people who sort of believes in these sort of unexplained phenomena and things like that, and it's kind of all the rest of the force think she's crazy, and she's investigating in the initial pilot kind of these spooky goings on and things like that. And you've also got Michael Landis, I think his name is. And he plays a character called Nick O'Malley, who is already assigned to this Special Unit 2, and is more of a sort of a veteran kind of like hunter of these sort of creatures. They call them lynx. So they kind of make up the main characters of the show. You've also got their sort of captain, played by Richard Gant, and he's kind of this kind of chain smoking, grumpy police captain, as you kind of fairly stereotypical sort of style of character. And then with them, you've got a gnome. I forget the actor's name. Sorry, he's a character called Carl, and he's like this gnome who is basically their sort of informant to the sort of like this creature or link underworld. And then you've kind of got the nerdy tech guy who's at this sort of who really is not a field agent. He's just sort of in the actual station itself. And you have various other sort of agents that are sort of don't really say anything necessarily. So that's the basic setup. Now, before I get into the actual episodes themselves, I'll give you some overthoughts of what I think of this series as a whole. Now, obviously, this is really only season 1, although pretty much, I watched season 2 when it was first out, and I've not watched it since, so I'll do a review of season 2 as and when, but I got a feeling some of this stuff maybe apply to season 1. So the negatives, first of all, with this show for me, is that there's no ongoing story with them. Every episode is a self-contained story, and I think this may have hurt it in the long run, because you don't really get any kind of long-term investment. Basically, there's no overreaching story, there's no sort of big bad guy or anything like that. It is literally just a self-contained episode every time. So this is only for season 1 I'm talking about, but I'm pretty sure season 2 follows the same pattern from what I remember. So that's the first thing for me. I mean, it would have been nice to have. I mean, season 1's only 6 episodes, so it's kind of maybe a bit difficult to kind of do it for that long. But I mean, maybe just top and tail it with kind of a bit more of an arc. That would have been better for me. So that's kind of my main issue with this. The other thing for me, the other main issue that I have with this, is that the 6 episodes that are on, 3 of them, one of the 2 gets kidnapped, and arguably kind of kidnapped in another episode as well. So over half of these episodes are one of the 2 police detectives getting captured, or somehow sort of in 3 of them actually getting captured, and the other one has to come and rescue them. Or in episode 2, kind of gets sucked into their society a bit, and it's up to the other one to bring it out. So kind of the same sort of thing, to be honest with you. So it's a bit formulaic in that respect as well, that it seems to be most of the episodes seem to be one of these guys gets in trouble and the other one has to sort of help him out. So it just doesn't seem to have, although the central premise of the actual show's quite fun, the actual storytelling wise, it's not brilliant. Now, on the plus side, I think the effects are pretty decent for a TV budget. They're quite inventive monsters, for the most part anyway. And the leads are pretty likable. They have some they're kind of interesting characters. And Nick O'Malley is kind of this like sarcastic sort of badass type character who's pretty much just wants to kill all these links. And his partner was killed some time ago, and he's constantly sort of making like wisecracks and stuff like that, constantly bickering with Carl the gnome. Whilst he's certainly the more interesting of the two characters, while Kate Benson is more the sort of the straight woman, who's sort of, it kind of plays it a little bit more straight, but maybe with a little bit more heart. Out of the two of them, I think I prefer to say Nick O'Malley's character. I just find him a little bit more interesting to watch. The police captain, don't really see much of him, to be honest with you. He's kind of there more just to sort of send these guys on a mission, as is the nerdy sort of guy at the base just kind of gives them mission, information, and we're not really exploring his character. See a little bit more of Carl. He sort of tends to follow them around quite a lot, and he's quite funny. But he's kind of, there's the ongoing joke with him is that he's always sort of committing sort of petty crimes, and they're always sort of catching him sort of mid-act, and maybe that gets a little bit stale as well sometimes. I mean, it's only the first season, as I say, so that may change. Right, so I'll give you a brief summary of the episode. So episode 1 is obviously the pilot episode, and this really, in a way, is could be the sort of the more interesting, because it kind of sets up the show, and at this point, Kate Benson's not aware of what's going on necessarily, so it's her induction. Basically deals with gargoyles that are sort of kidnapping people and kind of basically want to sort of feed them to a nest of people. And they're sort of like little hatchlings and things like that. And that one, O'Malley gets captured, and Benson has to rescue him. Episode 2 was my favourite episode of the two. It's called The Pack. And like you'd expect, it deals with werewolves. Now, this episode in particular, I would say, has possibly the best martial arts scene I've seen on American TV. Really, really good. Obviously, it's very much like wire fu, but it's absolutely outstanding. An outstanding scene, really, really good. What I didn't like about this episode was the werewolf makeup itself looked crap. The werewolves look really fat, which is a really weird look, and they're supposed to be like mega fast, but they look like huge, like fat blokes. Now Nick kind of goes half transformed, and this is what I mean. This is the episode I said where he's kind of he got sort of inducted into them and kind of sort of bring him out of it. So he's not kidnapped exactly, but again, he's kind of under their influence. What I would have liked this season, this particular episode, to be later on in the season, because the reason why I say that is this is an episode where sort of Nick almost goes too far to the edge, and Kate's got to bring him back. But because it's literally the second episode, and maybe this is their second case, I don't know whether that was feasible at this point. It was a good episode, but I think it would have been better towards... I actually think this would have been the better season finale, because it was the one which is maybe a little bit different from the majority of the other ones, and it maybe made you think Nick was going to sort of go over to the dark side. So I would have preferred this one to be episode 6 rather than episode 2. Episode 3 had a samurai mummy, and it was quite a fun episode. But once again, you got one of them getting kidnapped. This time it's Kate. Kate getting kidnapped, and of course O'Malley has to rescue her along with some other people. Episode 4 is kind of these spider women, and actually O'Malley gets kind of in trouble with one of them as well. And once again, it's up to Kate to sort of rescue the day. So again, that's another example of that. So episode 5 is the most probably unique monster, and it's kind of it's like a creature that's made up of people's discarded liposuction fat. and it's basically sort of become sort of sentient and is going around sucking the fat out of people. So it's a pretty disgusting idea, but it's quite funny. It's not something you've maybe seen before, and it's obviously an original monster. And it's also the interesting thing with that one is it's the only one where they kind of almost question whether this creature is sort of benevolent, and it's just trying to survive. And then the final episode is a merman episode, and it reminds me very much of there's an old film called Humanoids of the Deep or Monster, and it kind of very much reminds you of this. And these sort of like sea monsters, I think actually from a lake rather than a sea, set in Chicago, are sort of sucking the sort of the life force out of virgins. Now, you know, obviously it's a TV, so they, you know, that's what they're going with, but you know what I'm saying. And you know, they're kind of like these kind of fishmen sort of monsters, really. And that's interesting. That actually has a cameo of by Tom Welling before he was in Smallville, so that's interesting to sort of see him in that. So that one, you know, the last two episodes, neither of them get sort of captured, but the other four, they pretty much, that's, you know, it's a case of one of them gets captured, and the other one has to rescue them. So that's quite a very brief summary of obviously the first 6 episodes. There's this episodes, season 2 is a lot longer. Now, as far as this particular series only lasted 2 seasons, and as far as I know, the reason for that is because it was cancelled because they had some issues with copyrights. Apparently, it was, and I'm not 100% sure if this is true or not. To be honest, this is just what I've read. But apparently it was copyright infringement on a role-playing game that they didn't have the correct rights to, so that's why it was cancelled. I'm not sure how popular it was in the States, because when I started watching this in the UK, this is really before sort of people used the internet as much as they do these days. It was difficult to see the information of it at that time. But I don't know what the ratings were, or how popular it was in the States. But as far as I know, in regards to why it's cancelled, that was the reason, as far as I know. So for season 1, I'm going to give this one a 6.5 out of 10. And that may seem low, but it's just the main reason I say that is because it doesn't have this overreaching story arc. It doesn't grab your interest as much because you're just not. It is very, very. It's like CSI's every episode. Well, even CSI has a sort of you know, some sort of overreaching arc, but this one totally doesn't. So that's my review. Let me know what you think about it, and how did you feel it's compared to season 2. Leave me a comment and look forward to seeing you next time. See you later.